When the power grid fails, your biggest threat isn't the darkness, it's the knock on your door at 2 a.m., your neighbors. The same people who wave at you every morning. The ones who borrow your lawnmower and invite you to barbecues. When their kids are hungry and the stores have been empty for 3 days, they're going to remember what you have, and they're going to come asking for it. These 10 items will make you a target in the first 48 hours of a blackout. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which items to hide, how to secure them, and why operational security starts right now, before the lights go out. Let's get into it. Number 1. Seeds. Not the kind you eat right now, the kind you plant when everything else runs out. Here's what most people don't understand about long-term blackouts. Your stockpile runs out eventually. Doesn't matter how much you stored. 6 months of food becomes 0. Then what? Your neighbor who laughed at you for prepping? He's been watching your garden since spring. He's counted your tomato plants. He knows you have squash growing. He's seen the beans climbing your fence. And when his family hasn't eaten vegetables in 3 weeks, he's going to remember every single plant in your yard. But here's what makes seeds different from every other item on this list. Seeds aren't just food. Seeds are infinite food. 1 tomato gives you 50 seeds. 1 squash gives you hundreds. Plant those seeds, and you have food forever. That makes seeds more valuable than gold after a collapse, because gold doesn't feed your children, seeds do. The problem is visibility. Gardens are visible. You can't hide tomatoes growing in your backyard. You can't conceal a corn stalk. If you're growing food and your neighbors are starving, they're coming for it. They'll pick it before it's ripe. They'll dig up your potatoes. They'll strip your fruit trees bare in one night. And if you confront them, you're the bad guy for having food when their kids are hungry. Here's what you need to understand. Store seeds now. Heirloom seeds, not hybrid. Heirlooms reproduce. Hybrids don't. Get seeds for vegetables that produce fast. Lettuce, radishes, beans, squash. Things that grow in 60 days or less. Keep your seed stockpile hidden. Never show neighbors your seed collection. They'll think you're paranoid until week 6 of the blackout. Then those seeds become the most valuable thing you own. And if you plant a garden during the crisis, plant it at night. In containers you can move. In hidden locations. Not in your front yard where everyone can see it. Seeds give you power. Guard them like gold. Number 2, plastic sheeting. Sounds boring. Sounds like something a construction worker needs, not a prepper. You're wrong. Here's what happens in the first week of a grid-down scenario. Windows break. Roofs leak. Walls crack. Your house stops being a fortress and becomes a sieve. Rain gets in. Cold gets in, wind gets in, and you can't fix it because Home Depot is closed. Forever. Your neighbor sees you nailing plastic sheeting over your broken window. He sees you staying dry while his ceiling drips. He sees you staying warm while his kids are shivering in wet clothes. And he's going to remember that roll of plastic in your garage. The one you bought 6 months ago that he thought was stupid. Plastic sheeting isn't just for covering windows, it's for everything. Emergency shelter when your roof fails. Ground cover to keep moisture away from supplies. Rainwater collection when you need every drop. Privacy screens when you don't want neighbors seeing inside. Quarantine barriers if someone gets sick. Makeshift greenhouses to grow food. Body bags when things get that bad. 1 roll of 6mm plastic sheeting costs $12 and solves 50 problems. That's why your neighbor is going to want it. The problem is size. Plastic sheeting is bulky. It's stored in garages or sheds where people can see it. It's obvious when you're using it. You can't hide a 10-foot sheet of plastic covering your broken window, and when everyone else's homes are falling apart and yours is sealed tight, they notice. They ask questions. They want to borrow it. Except borrowing plastic sheeting means cutting it, which means destroying it. What you need to understand, stockpile multiple rolls now. 10-foot by 25-foot rolls, 6mm thickness minimum. Thinner tiers too easily. Store them inside, not in the garage where neighbors see them. Keep duct tape with every roll. Plastic sheeting without tape is useless. When the blackout hits and your house stays sealed while theirs falls apart, that plastic becomes more valuable than lumber. Because there's no more lumber. Store it. Hide it. Protect it like walls. Number 3, pet food. You don't even have a dog. Why should you care? Because your neighbor does. And when his German Shepherd hasn't eaten in 5 days, that becomes your problem real fast. Here's the thing about pets in a collapse. They don't understand what's happening. They just know they're hungry. And a hungry dog is a dangerous dog. Your neighbor loves that dog like family. Maybe more than family. When the stores are empty and pet food is gone, he's going to feed that dog something. Either food meant for his kids, or your food, or your chickens, or your cat. You think I'm exaggerating? Go look at what happened during Hurricane Katrina. People refused to evacuate because they wouldn't leave their pets. They chose to die with their animals rather than abandon them. That's the level of emotional attachment we're talking about. Now imagine that same person watching his dog starve while you clearly have food. You think he's going to just accept that? You think he's not going to remember that 50-pound bag of dog food you bought from Costco 3 months ago? Pet food becomes leverage. His dog is hungry. You have dog food. Suddenly you own him. He'll trade anything: information about other neighbors, labor, his own supplies, access to his skills, or he'll just take it. Because threatening a man's family gets you hurt. But threaten his dog? That gets you killed. Here's what makes pet food especially valuable. It's species specific. You can't feed dog food to humans long term. But you can absolutely use it to control people who have dogs. It's worthless to you. It's everything to them. Store it even if you don't have pets. 20-pound bags of dry dog food cost $30 and last forever. Cat food. Even fish food if your neighbor has an aquarium and thinks those koi are his retirement plan. When the crisis hits, pet owners panic before they run out of human food, because they can ration their own food. They can't explain rationing to a hungry animal. The person with pet food controls the person with pets. And people with dogs make useful allies. Guard dogs don't eat much, but they bark at everyone, even neighbors you haven't seen yet. Store pet food, control desperate pet owners, use loyalty that already exists. Number 4, plastic bags. The thing your city just banned to save the planet. The thing stores charge you 15 cents for. The thing everyone throws away without thinking. You're making a massive mistake. Here's what happens when the trash system collapses. No garbage trucks, no pickup, no disposal. Your trash sits in your house and rots. In 3 days, you have a biohazard. In a week, you have disease. Your neighbor's garbage is overflowing into his yard. Rats, flies, smell. And he's watching you carry sealed bags to some hidden location while his house becomes a landfill. He's going to want those bags. Plastic bags aren't just for trash. They're for everything survival requires: water transport when containers break, food storage when your freezer dies and everything needs protecting from insects, wound covering when bandages are gone, waterproofing documents, electronics, ammunition, makeshift gloves for handling contaminated materials, boot liners when your feet are soaking wet, insulation layers stuffed in clothing, flotation devices tied and inflated, emergency rain gear, vapor barriers, fire starters using plastic and friction. One plastic bag has 15 survival uses. Most people throw away 50 every month. The problem with plastic bags is nobody values them until they're desperate. When your neighbor has 40 pounds of human waste in his bathroom and no way to dispose of it, those bags become worth anything. And you can't hide them. Using a trash bag is visible. Carrying bags outside is visible. The sound of plastic crinkling gives you away. When you're the only person with sealed, managed waste disposal, everyone notices. Here's what people miss about plastic bags. They're not coming back. When stores close and supply chains fail, nobody's manufacturing disposable plastic bags. The ones that exist right now are the last ones. You think your neighbor doesn't notice you bought 200 trash bags from Costco last month? He thinks you're crazy. Until his house becomes uninhabitable and yours doesn't. Store trash bags in every size: kitchen bags, contractor bags, Ziploc bags, vacuum seal bags if you can afford them. Store them in bulk before bans make them impossible to find. When sanitation fails, plastic bags become the difference between living in your home and fleeing from disease. Your neighbor will offer anything for what you throw away. Hoard them. Hide them. They're not trash bags. They're civilization in a roll. Number 5, paracord. Looks like rope. Costs $3 for 50 feet. Every survivalist has it. None of them understand what they actually have. Paracord isn't rope. It's 7 individual tools wrapped in one package. Cut it open. Inside that outer sheath are 7 inner strands. Each strand is its own cordage. Each strand handles 30 pounds of tension. The outer cord handles 550 pounds. That means one 50-foot section of paracord is actually 350 feet of usable cordage when you break it down. Your neighbor bought one coil. You bought 10. You didn't buy 500 feet. You bought 3,500 feet. He thinks you're equal. You're not. Here's what paracord does that regular rope can't. Fishing line when you strip the inner strands. Sutures for emergency wound closure using individual threads. Dental floss when you're 3 weeks without brushing. Sewing thread for repairing clothes and gear. Snare wire for trapping small game. Bow drill string for friction fire. Bootlaces when yours break. Clothesline, tourniquets, shelter building, equipment repair, securing loads, making nets. Weaving survival gear. Your neighbor has 50 feet of rope. You have 50 different solutions. What makes paracord dangerous is visibility. Everyone knows what it looks like. That distinctive woven pattern. Those bright colors preppers love. When you have paracord on your gear, you're advertising you prep. And when things collapse and your neighbor needs to tie something, secure something, fix something, he's going to remember that paracord bracelet on your wrist, that keychain, that backpack strap. Smart preppers buy paracord in coyote brown or OD green, colors that disappear, not neon orange that screams, I have supplies. Store it in 1,000-foot spools, not 50-foot coils. When you need cordage long-term, small amounts don't cut it. 1,000 feet sounds excessive until you're building shelter, making traps, securing a perimeter, and repairing gear simultaneously. Paracord doesn't break, it doesn't rot. It lasts decades. In a world where everything fails, paracord is the thing that holds everything together. Your neighbor has rope, you have infrastructure. Guard it. Number 6. Antibiotics. The one thing you can't stockpile legally. The one thing that will absolutely kill you if you don't have it. The one thing your neighbor is going to beg for when his kid's cut gets infected. Welcome to the worst ethical dilemma in prepping. Here's the reality about bacterial infections in a grid-down scenario. That small cut on day 2 becomes red on day 4, swollen on day 6. Streaking red lines up the arm on day 8, sepsis on day 10, dead on day 12. Without antibiotics, minor injuries become death sentences. Strep throat becomes rheumatic fever. Urinary tract infections become kidney failure. Dental abscesses become brain infections. Your neighbor knows you prep. He's seen your medical supplies. When his daughter has 103 fever and that infected wound is spreading, he's coming to your door. Not asking, begging, maybe threatening. What are you going to do? Watch a kid die? Give up antibiotics your family might need next week? There's no good answer. Here's what makes antibiotics especially dangerous to have. They're regulated. Possession without prescription is illegal in most places. Sharing them is practicing medicine without a license, but not having them in a collapse means watching preventable deaths. Some preppers buy fish antibiotics. Same chemical compound, different label, legal to purchase. Amoxicillin for fish is amoxicillin for humans. The dosage math is identical. But you didn't hear that from me. Others stockpile during international travel where antibiotics are over the counter. Mexico, Canada, overseas pharmacies, gray area legally. Absolutely necessary practically. The problem isn't getting antibiotics, it's keeping them secret. The moment your neighbor knows you have them, you become the neighborhood pharmacy. First 1 person, then 5, then 20. Your supply meant for your family for years is gone in weeks. Never tell anyone. Not extended family, not trusted friends, not your prepper group. The person who knows you have antibiotics becomes the person who reveals you have antibiotics when their loved one is dying. Store them, hide them, deny having them even when directly asked. Your family's survival means someone else's death. Accept that now. Number 7. Garden crops. You planted tomatoes in May. You watered them all summer. You watched them grow. You counted every fruit. So did your neighbor. Here's what nobody tells you about growing food during a collapse. Gardens are impossible to hide. Your tomato plants are visible from 3 houses away. Your corn stalks announce, I have food to everyone who walks past. Your squash vines climb the fence where everyone can see them. You spent 3 months growing 50 pounds of vegetables. Your neighbor spent 3 months watching you grow 50 pounds of vegetables. When his kids haven't eaten fresh food in 2 weeks, those tomatoes aren't yours anymore. They're community property in his mind, and he'll come take them. At night, when you're asleep, before they're even ripe. What makes gardens especially dangerous is timing. You can't harvest everything at once. Tomatoes ripen over 6 weeks. Beans are produced daily. Lettuce needs constant picking. That means checking your garden daily. That means visibility. That means everyone knows your schedule. Your neighbor knows you check the garden at 7 a.m., so he checks it at 6 a.m. By August, you're in a cold war over vegetables you planted in your own yard. Here's the brutal truth about gardening in a collapse. Visible food production creates conflict. Always. The person with a garden becomes the person everyone targets, not just for the food, for the seeds, for the knowledge, for the soil you improved. Smart preppers grow food where neighbors can't see it, container gardens on roofs, hidden plots in wooded areas, indoor hydroponics behind blackout curtains. Locations that require knowing they exist to find them. If you must garden visibly, plant decoy gardens, grow vegetables in front that you don't care about losing, grow your real food where nobody looks. Your visible garden is the sacrifice that protects your hidden garden. When everyone's starving and your garden is visible, you're not a farmer, you're a target. Hide your food production, or lose it to people who didn't plant anything. Number 8. Firewood pile. Stacked in your backyard since October, 3 cords, 6 months of heat. Everyone walking past can count every log, including your neighbor who bought 0. Here's what makes firewood the most visible survival prep you can have. You can't hide a woodpile. It's outside. It's massive. It requires months to season properly. And when winter comes and nobody else has heat, your smoke rising from the chimney announces exactly where the firewood is. You spent $600 and 8 weekends splitting logs. Your neighbor spent $0 watching you stack them. When his house drops to 40 degrees and his kids are shivering in blankets, he's not asking for firewood. He's taking it. At 2 a.m. While you're asleep, 1 armload at a time until your 6-month supply becomes his 3-week supply. What makes this theft especially bold is justification. In his mind, you have too much. He has none. Sharing is moral. Taking is survival. And who are you to have heat when his family is freezing? The smoke from your chimney becomes a beacon. Everyone for 3 blocks knows exactly which house has heat. Your warmth advertises your supply. Every night you burn wood, you're painting a target on your property. Here's the reality about firewood in a collapse. Visible heat production creates resentment and theft. Always. People will rationalize taking from you because you clearly have more than you need. 1 fire. That's all they see. Smart preppers solve this 3 ways. Indoor storage where nobody sees the supply, multiple hidden caches in different locations. Or accepting that visible firewood is bait and the real supply is buried, covered, or disguised elsewhere. Your visible woodpile isn't for winter. It's the sacrifice you accept losing so nobody looks for the 10 cords hidden in the woods behind your property. Firewood announces you're prepared. Prepared people become targets. Hide your heat or lose it to the cold. Number 9. Sleeping bags. Your family has 4. Your neighbor has 0. When his heat fails and his house drops to freezing, those sleeping bags become the difference between sleeping and dying of hypothermia, and he knows you have them. Here's what makes sleeping bags uniquely dangerous to possess. They're bulky. They're stored in closets and garages where people see them on camping trips. And when winter hits and houses go cold, everyone remembers who has cold weather gear. Your neighbor watched you load sleeping bags into your car last summer. He saw the tags, 20-degree rating. He knows you're equipped for the cold. When his family is shivering under 5 blankets that aren't working, he's coming for those sleeping bags, not borrowing, taking. Because in his mind, you have 4 and he has none. His kids are freezing. Your sleeping bags are sitting unused in a closet. Taking them isn't theft. It's a redistribution. It's survival. What makes this especially dangerous is how wrong he is. Your sleeping bags aren't unused. They're your backup heating system when your own heat fails. But he doesn't know that. He sees equipment you're not currently using while his family suffers. The real problem with sleeping bags is you can't fake not having them. If he saw them once, he knows they exist. They don't spoil. They don't get used up. That memory of your camping gear becomes his emergency plan. Smart preppers solve this by storing cold weather gear where nobody sees it. Not in hall closets, not in garages, in hidden locations only the family knows, and never ever discussing your camping equipment with neighbors. When the heat fails, the family with sleeping bags survives. The family freezes. Your neighbor has already decided which category his family belongs in, and it's in the same category as yours. Whether you agree or not, hide them. Deny having them. Your warmth is your secret. Number 10, propane heater. The one that keeps your family warm when the power dies. The one sitting in your garage right now. The one your neighbor heard running through your wall at 2 a.m. during the last outage. He knows exactly what you have. Here's the problem with propane heaters. They're loud. That distinctive whooshing sound travels through walls. The blue flame is visible through windows at night. And the warmth radiating from your house when everyone else is freezing announces you have independent heat. You bought a Mr. Buddy heater and 3 20-pound tanks. That's 72 hours of heat for one room. Your neighbor bought nothing and spent 3 days shivering last winter. He's not making that mistake again. When the grid fails this time, he's not asking to borrow your heater. He's taking it. Because his kids are cold. Because you clearly don't need 3 tanks when he has 0. Because sharing heat isn't optional in his mind. It's moral. What makes propane heaters especially dangerous is sound discipline. You can hide the heater, you can hide the tanks, but you can't hide the sound when you use it. That whoosh echoes through apartment walls and thin house insulation. Everyone within 50 feet knows you have heat. The smart move is running heaters in interior rooms with doors closed, basement setups where sound doesn't travel, never in rooms with shared walls, never visible through windows. Heat the core of your house, not the perimeter, or accept that visible warmth makes you the neighborhood heating station. First one neighbor asked, then 5, then 20. All demanding access to equipment you paid for because their lack of planning became your emergency. When temperatures drop and houses go cold, the family with the propane heater becomes the target, not the neighbor. The target. Hide your heat source or become everyone's solution. There's no middle ground in winter. You know what they'll take, you know when they'll take it, you know why they think they're justified. Now you know how to stop them. Every item on this list is a target painted on your back. Every visible prep is an invitation. Every conversation about your supplies is intelligence gathering for someone else's survival plan. The prepared don't advertise, they don't discuss. They don't show off their gear, they hide what they have, they deny what they own. They survive in silence while everyone else fights over scraps. Your neighbor isn't your enemy yet. But when his family is starving and yours isn't, that changes fast. Prepare for that moment now, not during it. Hide your preparations, guard your supplies. Trust nobody outside your immediate family. Because in a collapse, the most dangerous people aren't the unprepared masses. They're your neighbors who know exactly what you have.